If you are carrying out studies in African history, you must come in contact with the history or information about a very wealthy, renowned town that existed and still exists in Africa called Timbuktu. Well, the influence of the town has actually gotten low compared to the highly influential period that the town existed. Timbuktu can be found in the present-day Mali, and it is a very historic town, a town that has a lot of historic information that can give anybody insight about trades that happened during the booming Trans-Saharan Trade period. The foundation of Timbuktu has been traced to the Tuaregs. The place was situated in an environment where some water met with the desert. So it was suitable for travelers through the desert to camp there, get a refillment of water for their horses, for their camel, and then rest there for some time before continuing their journey. Most of the Tuaregs that were linked to have founded Timbuktu were nomads. Some stories of some oral history has it that the place was named after an elderly woman who was actually taking care of the camp anytime that the Tuaregs were out. Whether the story has it that the woman's name was named after the town. Well, the Tuaregs were nomads and they moved from one part of the Sahara to another. And then they play a very important role, as I said in one of my presentations, as guides in the Sahara transition points. When Mali Empire became very influential, precisely during the reign of Sundiata, around the 14th century, Mali Empire took over Timbuktu. The taking over of Timbuktu meant the displacement of the Tuaregs. While the Timbuktu or the area became very influential and trade were encouraged, the influence and the commitment of the rulers of Mali Empire generated high level of trade. This made some other merchants that saw the importance of Timbuktu to come down to Timbuktu. Another area of growth was on the part of Islamic scholars. The place became a very vibrant point for Islamic scholarship. This generated encouraged Islamic scholars to come from many parts of North Africa and within the areas in the Sahara region, down to Timbuktu. Within this period, 3 very influential mosques were built. One of them was Jigwe Reba. The next one was Sankore. Next one was Sidi Yahe. Well, in the Sankore, one of the renowned universities were constructed. We handled the analysis of Sankore in one of our presentations. In Sankore, one of the renowned universities were encouraged, and this place became a very important point for scholarship, for business activities, and also for research points. The uniqueness and the very important influence of these universities made a lot of impact in the area of science, education, Islamic scholarship base, and even trade. Well, the influence of the city attracted a lot of merchants and Islamic scholars. Around 1468, the city was captured by Songhai Empire. But before this period, with the decline of the influence of Mali, the Tuaregs regained control of this city. The Tuaregs started attacking the city, but since the Malian Empire was already on the decline, the Tuaregs were able to gain control of this city. But they did something unique. They did not actually try to disrupt the daily life in the city. Rather, what they just did was to take only the financial benefit by redirecting taxes from the Mali Empire to themselves. They left a governor there and who was actually remitting taxes to them. But because they were nomads, they didn't sit down there to start handling the day-to-day activities of the area. They basically left the place on the control of the governor. Well, around 1468, Songhai Empire took over the place by sending out the Malian empires. That was precisely under Sani Ali. Sani Ali took over the control of Timbuktu, and the successful dynasty that took over from precisely the Askia dynasty encouraged the sustained growth of the empire. Timbuktu got to the highest level of its influence commercially, intellectual development under the Askia dynasty. Gold, slaves, swords were traded upon in exchange to North African goods, like clothes, horses, and other products. By 1591, the Moroccans attacked Songhai Empire, and one of the places they attacked was Timbuktu. They took over Songhai Empire and also Timbuktu as well. Well, they didn't actually make much impact to sustain the growth of Timbuktu. Rather, they even erected a good number of the scholars. Some of the scholars that tried to oppose were even killed. This brought about a decline. The garrison or the military might that they placed in Timbuktu could not sustain or provide security in Timbuktu. This brought Timbuktu to a point of struggle, mainly between three major groups: the Bambara, the Fulani, and as well the Tuaregs started struggling for the control of Timbuktu. Unfortunately, this affected the influence and growth of Timbuktu. Instead of moving in an upward level, diminishing return came in. A lot of historic materials were destroyed, and the famous universities were even affected by the attack of the Moroccans. Well, the Moroccans could not effectively provide security, and this created a lot of problems. Europeans started having, visiting the empire or the town precisely around the 19th century. Some Europeans that visited the town with their explorers were Gordon Laing, who was a British, Reine Auguste Calais, who was a French. Then the next was Heinrich Barth, who was a German. The city was later captured by the French in 1846. Today, Timbuktu is part of Mali. But unfortunately, most of what was known about Timbuktu are not in existence again. If you're watching us for the very first time, please subscribe to our channel, click on the notification icon, so that anytime we drop a new content, you'll be one of the earliest persons to be notified. Thanks for being part of this channel.